and welcome to the Diablo Podcast. I am your host, Xanth, and I am joined once again by my lovely co-host, Neinball.
Oh, hi.
Noted crow eater, noted whale, noted streamer, notably present, and notably a nice guy. Nerdwards,
That was sweet. Hello.
co- compliment sandwich. And
There you go.
bringing in a fourth guest today uh, from all the way in the UK and from Windows Central, Jen.
Hi, happy to be here.
See, now, honestly, every comment from here on out is going to be about how they miss someone with an accent as opposed to our oh, rugged American voices. It's no one wants that. So thank you for livening up the show, Jen. Uh, we are, of course, brought to you by PureDiablo.com. Your home for an expansive wiki, an ever-growing community, and of course, this podcast. Uh, we got a lot to talk about today. We want to cover, some of the latest news, talk about what we've been playing since we last talked, and then delve into, well, the big reveal, season one of Diablo 4. And in tandem with that, probably the biggest conversation that is happening right now around the game, itemization. So let's go first with news. Turns out Microsoft has been trying to buy Blizzard. Thoughts? Apparently, this is a thing.
And it
Mhm.
should be noted that they've been trying to buy them for $69 billion. Very specific number.
Nice.
Nice.
That's
it
it.
feels
That's where
like
the
it's been
podcast
going on for
ends.
69 years.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here.
Just for
Yes,
that.
Jen's right. It's been dragging on and on and on and on. Look, I'll jump in as an Xbox fanboy. I've been kind of excited about it. I think that it's definitely interesting when you see companies absorb each other. I don't feel any certain type of way about any sort of corporation. So I think how it affects the gaming industry will remain to be seen. That'll be interesting. But you know, I don't have any like hot takes on it one way or the other. There have been several companies bought up by both Microsoft and Sony over the years. This is probably just the biggest one, at least in recent memory I can think of. I mean, I can't imagine like Sony going and buying EA, right? That'd be kind of crazy. So, it's big for sure. How it affects the industry will be really the big thing that kind of follows from it. But I mean, Xbox has shown that, or Microsoft has shown that. I mean, it's a well-run company. They haven't had the issues that Activision has had, so maybe they need a grown-up parenting them a little bit more. maybe that's for the best, but we'll see how it all plays out, right?
Yeah, and I mean that's one of the other ones. I think my first hot take, and to just go through and say that the hearing from this morning was just about the injunction that the FTC was putting up to put a stay on the purchase. There's still processes going in the background of the FTC could potentially still try and sue them to stop the entire thing. This is just an injunction as a stay. They haven't cleared all of the legal hurdles yet. At least that's my understanding of what I've been reading today. But other than that, like as Nerdwards was saying, its effects on the industry probably for the worse, but its effects on Blizzard themselves, getting out from the just the little penny counting money machine that is the Activision leadership, which are pretty much all going away once the acquisition is finished. Bobby is going to take his golden 408 million dollar paycheck or whatever, and go do. Who fucking cares? Sorry, I cursed like way too quickly. But it's like some of those things that it's like it's like for everyone at Blizzard and for probably fans of Blizzard games individually, it's like a very good thing. But for the industry as a whole, things start getting smaller and you start getting less choices, and that's never really a good thing. As look at Disney and Fox and other things in that particular situation and what it does to those other markets. Something that I'm affected by in like my job.
I'm surprised to hear a few people saying that they think it's bad for the industry. I think it's quite positive. I think hopefully we're going to get better value. I don't know if any of you guys use Game Pass. I don't know if any other games are going to end up in Game Pass. I don't think it's going to be instant like some people are acting. You know, people have paid for these games already, and there'd be uproar if Diablo went into Game Pass tomorrow. But overall, I'm quite pleased about the deal. I didn't think Xbox's survival hinged on the deal, like a lot of people did. I think they would have been fine without it. But with it, I think they've got the chance to, I don't know, release some games that actually have a, what's the word? So yeah, release some games that have that inspire feeling in people. I don't think they've got any really memorable characters other than like their Halo, their Master Chief type things at the moment. But Blizzard has got some memorable characters and stories, and like Xbox will now take that under their wing. So yeah, and all of these games are going to stay on PlayStation. I don't know why people are worried about those coming out. So I believe them when they say they're going to keep things on PlayStation for the next 10, 20 years. It makes the money, it makes sense.
You know, echoing what you had said, Neinball, we haven't made a Bobby Kotick joke since this podcast returned. Flux was a huge fan of crapping on Bobby
Bobby's
Kotick.
eyes.
Number one
Um,
fan.
and personally, I'm just happy to see that guy go. I don't feel like he was good for Blizzard. Um, I feel like they kind of have created in spite of, not as a result of. So them going and falling under Microsoft's wing, I feel like will be great for everybody there. We'll talk in more podcasts to come about, you know, the general crap that has happened at Blizzard over the years, and that has kind of been fostered under Kotick. And with him gone, I do hope that it leads to just happier people. You know, like we love these
Yeah.
games. If it creates an environment that is better for them, I'm all for it. Uh,
Yeah.
so interesting.
I, there
Memo?
there were some hot takes. There were some hot takes from former developers that used to work at Blizzard, specifically on like the Overwatch team. That there was like kind of like a mass exodus of talent and such leading up to the launch and shortly after the launch of Overwatch 2. And there were quite a few people that had some pretty hot takes that put the kind of like the failure to launch of Overwatch 2 as well as the that stymied the success of the original Overwatch. They all laid at Kotick's feet with a lot of the things that he would pass down, you know, basically kind of like come down to Blizzard and say, Overwatch has to do this. We have to monetize this process. We have to implement this type of thing. And then 6 months later, Kotick's coming in and saying, no, scrap that. You know, and so much lost development time, money, resources, burnout, and people getting pulled in, you know, so many different directions. And supposedly all, you know, as a direct responsibility of coming down from, you know, the Activision board members and such. So there are a lot of people that don't even work at Blizzard anymore that are cheering right now that Kotick is gone.
Well, and I think that
Thank
the
God.
funniest part and the most ironic part about all of it is Rod Ferguson. You know, developer that launched Gears of War. I have two gaming tattoos. One is Diablo, the other is Gears of War. Right? Jen is absolutely right. Xbox needs like franchises, but Gears of War is another one of those that's really big. State of Decay is really big, but they don't have like the God of Wars, the Spider-Mans, right? Like those exclusives that Sony has are really, they've been winning the single player story-driven game market, mostly under the umbrella of Naughty Dog, again, a company that they bought, you know, years and years and years ago, right? So you're right. I think that this will be the change for that. But I do find it funny that Rod Ferguson was in Coalition Studios, subsidiary of Microsoft, left that company and came to Diablo 4, and now it's going to be reabsorbed by Microsoft if this goes through. So I think that's definitely interesting. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, I think. But I do, if it creates better games from Microsoft as an Xbox fanboy, as someone who has an Xbox Series X right here, another one in my living room, and play PC all the time. I have Game Pass. I do. I have two. My son, right? He plays a lot
Yeah,
too. So
yeah.
yeah, I gotta have two, right? And Jasmine's playing Diablo 4 right now, right? My girlfriend, she's playing Diablo 4. Her son's playing Diablo 4. I've got my PC for Diablo 4, so we're good to go. But yeah, so I am very much a part of the Church of Microsoft at this point. I have been for quite some time. So I hope it means good things. But we'll see. In 5 years, 10 years, that's when we'll really see the effects and how it affected if it goes through. We still have some hurdles to go through, like Neinball said, though, right? So this is not the end of it yet.
No, my next concern, really, my most immediate concern is I'm in the UK, and how is this going to affect us now? Because we are one
Yeah.
of the countries that turned down the deal, and they're now discussing how they're going to get it through. So the CMA folded as soon as that decision went out from the FTC because the Americans have said yes. So they've soon changed their tune. They were quick to talk back about Europe, but as soon as the Americans say yes, they're on Twitter going, yeah, we're going to talk about the deal. So we'll see what happens. I just feel like we're going to get a raw deal at the end of this, so it might be that they do pull out of the cloud gaming market here, which will hurt me. I use cloud gaming a lot with my kids using the TV. I can play on my phone. I've got a million bloody mobile controllers that I won't be able to use if they do that. I'm hoping that won't happen, but it seems like the CMA are really concerned over the cloud part of this deal for whatever reason. They don't seem to really understand the technology and that you don't need an Xbox to use it.
Right.
Which doesn't help the argument at all. Yeah, so we're just waiting with bated breath now on how it's going to affect the UK.
Well, we'll file that under wait and see, because who knows? What we do know is we do have a new Diablo season coming up in tandem with that. Friend of the pod and guest, Wolfcrier, is running his what? I'd have to look it up because I didn't do my notes as meticulous as I could. Um, do you know how many times he has done this, Nineball?
Oh, the number of times. Uh, will be the 18th straight season that they've done it. I say from memory, and not because I just quickly pulled up his Twitter
Okay,
page.
there you go. 18 continual seasons of Level with a Cause. So Wolfcry.
Since 2017, they've been doing it since July 20th of 2017 as well. I also was doing some quick searching. Me and Nine quick on the come up there.
2017. Oh my goodness. I might have had a full head of hair. I didn't.
Wait, actually, that's July 20th, 2017. So that is literally going to be the 6-year anniversary of the start of Level with a Cause when season 1 starts. That's actually really cool.
Wow. So Wolfcrier and a large other group of streamers, maybe Nerdwards, maybe Neinball, will be raising money for charity. Uh, get in there. You're going to be playing anyway. Why not join them and do some good, right? And Wolfcrier has been on before and talked about this as well.
And it really couldn't be a greater guy. Like Wolfcrier is just like an amazing person, like personally, outside of like streaming and all other types of stuff. Like he is just a very like selfless individual that's been really going through pushing this. They've literally raised tens of thousands of dollars. The biggest benefactor has been the Save the Children Foundation over the years, and he's been he's done a lot of amazing work. Puts a lot of effort into going through making this as easy for the streamers. And I'm lazy, and I have participated in Level of the Cause in the past, and just because with the way that he has everything set up on the back end, it's so easy to just go through, do it. You don't have to worry about anything. Anybody can sign up. If you stream and you've got like 5 viewers or 1 viewer or something like that, and you want to donate or you want to contribute to it, you just contact him or go to levelwiththecause.com and look up the information and become a part of something that's really cool. That's really great. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm gonna be like I'm worried about my playtime for season 1 because Barbenhammer comes out the week that this all starts. So but it's really great, and like I said, Wolfcrier is just an amazing individual.
Absolutely, and to keep it going is phenomenal, and I would love to see even more support around it because at the end of the day, it's for something good. Um, I'm totally a fan of going in supporting streamers that I like in general, but if it's in tandem with doing something that's for the benefit of, as you mentioned, sick children, How can you not? Because our Jen doesn't understand, but the American healthcare system, not the greatest. So
I've heard.
if we can do
I've
some
heard.
good,
I've heard.
um, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So next week, as things are getting going, find Wolfcrier and all the others who are doing this and show them some love. What you might not be loving is the fact that you are not one of the 142 people who found a Shaco. Is it
I might be.
Shaco?
You didn't
Shaco.
ask.
140.
I've always said Shaco.
Same, and we'll continue to, because Shaco just feels like an abomination. In fact, when you said it out loud, I wanted to die a lot. Though that's what everyone else says too, so maybe I'm just wrong, and that's fair. But it hurts
Look,
my soul.
it doesn't matter how you pronounce it. You'll never find it. Unless
That's
we're
true.
142 people who were lucky enough to be a barbarian or a sorcerer in a Helltide. This was quickly patched out, but you guys had the opportunity to get your Shaco or Shaco. What were you one of the 142?
No.
141 of them. But no, no.
No,
I'm playing Rogue. I had no chance.
I play Necromancer. Yeah, I benefited nothing from it.
The
I
heavy
play
criticism.
sorcerer. No.
It could have been
Oh.
you, but
Well,
still
that
not.
sucks for you.
I missed it. So I saw everyone like posting about it, and I get home and I jump on, and the Helltide's over. I'm like, all right, it's fine. I'll wait till the next one. And then that Helltide starts, and I'm running around and I'm doing stuff, and I open a Helm chest, and I get a sacred rare. I'm like, okay, next. Open another one, sacred rare, and then I just see someone on my Discord ping, and it's just like the snapshot on the Blizzard launcher that says they turned them off. God forbid we fix anything else, but God, as soon as people start getting Shacos, whatever, we got to fix that right away, right? All these other things, we got to let it sit for a while, but not that.
They couldn't fix the Druid loot table.
Right.
They
They fix that. They can't add gems into the tabs, right? There's... Yeah,
Not
they
to at
couldn't
least
fix
season 2.
the cap for crafting materials until the recent patch. Like, but that, we're going to fix it in an hour. No problem. No sweat, right? Come on, man.
Well, I mean, to be fair, they don't drop that often anyway, so them turning it off is just turning it back to normal, really.
Right, which is why we call it turning them off, right? Because
Yeah.
My favorite meme was the Office meme where Jen is handing the two pictures where it says that we've added we've turned off, it's like normal unique drop rates and we've turned off unique drop rates. They're the same picture. Is you're either one of those 142 people or you're just never finding one ever. Or
No.
if you do, you're gonna find it like right before the end of the season, and it won't matter anymore.
Or before Diablo 5 comes out.
Hey, there's the idea.
At least you have it. All right, let's table this because we're almost getting to an itemization conversation.
About to say, it kind of bleeds into that for sure.
It is dangerously close, and you know what? That is not how we roll. We are not going to get into a 3-hour podcast like we did with Macrobio Boy, where we just lose the focus. That's my job. We're going to stay on task. Okay, so what have you guys
And I
been
would like to go to
playing?
bed.
Exactly. There's going to be a tired 3-year-old just walking out like, Mom, why are you still talking? I want breakfast. Pancakes, please. So, recent play. We have this little bit of a lull with season 1 starting on the 20th. What have you guys been up to? What have you found? What have you done?
So I've just been playing Diablo. I've been playing on Xbox. I've been playing on my Steam Deck. I've had a few days break since the season 1 announcement, I suppose. I just feel like it's pretty close now, and there's no point farming on my character because I'm going to start afresh. And also all this about the uniques and them turning them off in the Helltide. I didn't even realise that they didn't drop in the Helltide tests, the Helltide chests. So now I know that they're not going to drop at all. It's sort of like, I don't really want to play the Helltides.
Well, they will
No.
now. So that's what they changed with the patch. Now all uniques can drop in all of the chests instead of just helmet uniques in just the helmet chest. So like if you open a helmet chest, you could get a boots unique or a weapon unique out of a helmet chest to make it so it wasn't such a limited pool. So they do still drop in the Helltide, but they fixed the thing that was making Shaco's drop like crazy.
Oh, so they haven't turned it off completely.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I think
they haven't
you
turned
know
it off.
if you look at it, you know, they made it so that way all uniques have a chance of dropping from all of the chests. You know, so it doesn't matter what chest that you open. I think that in and of itself is the fix to stop everybody from getting Shakos, because that's one of the questions that people have been trying to figure out. You know, in Diablo 2, it was like well understood where you would generate like the item type. It's like you would generate the item type first, and then you would generate, you know, is it a unique, a set, or, you know, like a rare or something like that. And so you would know, like, if there's no unique of this particular item, or you have this particular like item drop, it would have like double or quadruple durability on it. And so you know that it dropped you know, an exceptional short sword that there is no unique for, because the durability is bugged because it rolled unique on that particular item. And, you know, that's, people are trying to figure out, well, what is the loot formula for Diablo 4? And it does look as if it rolls the item first and then the quality. You know, because barbarians and sorceresses were just having helms drop from the sky, you know, because it still had a really rare chance. Only 142 out of how many millions of people were just playing the Helltide casually at that point, you know, and, you know, only 142 dropped out of all of that. So it still was a really rare chance of going through and getting a unique. But the only thing that it could roll for a helm was the Shaco. And so now
the barb, yeah.
Yeah, and so now what they've done, they've made it so that way it will like roll for a unique and then the, you know, the item type in order to get around that. You know, so I think that is kind of quote unquote the fix. They might later down the road re-enable it so that way you can target farm unique helms and helm chests and helltides while also keeping, you know, Shaco's extremely rare, let's say non-existent for sorceresses and barbarians.
So what else have you been playing? We're going back. We're going back.
Sorry, we got
we had
sidetracked.
to, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. We'll just count that as part of the previous you know, Neinball. I'm guessing a necromancer?
Yeah, so what I've been doing mostly though, I had another Age of Sigmar tournament over the weekend, and so I was just going through and preparing for that over like the past like week and a half. So that was where most of my time. We're also launching like a new 40K league as well, and so I've been helping admin that, doing some other stuff. Work has been busy. It's the summer. As I mentioned earlier, like next week is not only the start of season 1, but it's probably going to be the single biggest day for the movie theater industry here in the US, probably in the entire year. You know, compared to possibly even like maybe just like Christmas or something like that, because it's Oppenheimer, Barbie, and then the second weekend of Mission Impossible. It's just going to be absolutely insane. I could not request any time off for the season, and so I'm going to work through most of the opener, unfortunately.
So I've been playing a lot, as much as I possibly can. I do have full-time job, right? So, and family, but yeah, I've been putting in a lot of time. I kind of jumping around to a lot of different things. First of all, Mr. Hardcore, my sorcerer is now level 52 in Hardcore, and all my renown is done. So just in case I got an itch and wanted to do it, it's done now. Well, I got tired of people talking smack, you know. So it's not hard. It's not. But you know, went through and did that. I also, like, my Sork has been level 100 for a while. I've been trying to prog Uber Lilith. I have gotten phase 1 down. But I'm just not as good as other people. So I'm still working on phase 2, and honestly, I still struggle through phase 1, but I've downed it at least twice in phase 1, and then phase 2, I just get mollywopped. Yeah, and just granted, I've got a rogue that's level 90 now, so I was like leveling a rogue a little bit too. I've got a necro I started, I played around with a little bit. Helping my girlfriend, she's leveling a necro, so playing. So just as much as I possibly can, just kind of learning the game. I've done more nightmare sigils than I ever care to admit, because with the recent changes, that is now the meta, which is what I was afraid was going to happen. And yep, here we are, running nightmare sigils all day, every day, for anything you want to do ever. Which is exactly what I was afraid of leading up to the launch of Diablo 4. I feel like it's pretty well documented how I felt about that, but I'm doing it. I just hate it. So yeah. That said, I'm still enjoying the hell out of the game. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think that there's definitely some big issues and there's some big problems, and I'm not a developer, but I've got some ideas that maybe could help. Some things that I've thought about that would definitely help, but itemization is obviously the biggest elephant in the room. We're going to talk a little bit more about that here soon, but yeah, that's my playtime has been spread along a lot of different things. I even made some spreadsheets for Diablo 4 as well too. So just as much as I possibly can. Actually, I also got the I was going to show this off. Book of Lorath, finished that as well, which is very, very, very good. Some great extra context in there for the lore fans out there. I did play through the campaign on hardcore as well too. So I did a second playthrough of the campaign, which was really good. I actually liked it better the second time around. By the way, pro tip for everyone out there, because you can technically do Acts 1, 2, and 3 in whatever order. You should do Act 1, then 3, then 2. It makes so much more sense that way. Because if you finish Act 2, if you finish Act 3, Lorath says, okay, go away, go do stuff, and then I'll figure out what we're going to do to go to the next spot, right? But if you do it in Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3, and then you go to Act 4, that time is like 5 seconds, and then you're right back to Lorath telling you what to do. Whereas if you do Act 3 first, and then you go do all the Act 2 stuff in Skosglen and come back, it feels like actual amounts of time passed, and Lorath actually came up with a plan. It just fit way more thematically with the story, I thought. But the second playthrough of the campaign was really good. And then, yeah, just killing stuff, man.
Well, I actually had a continuity error when I was playing through, and I played it in order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But at one point, Downen said to me that, "Oh, how's Narelle dealing with her injury?" And I was just thinking to myself, "Oh, what are you talking about?"
Yep.
And I just thought I'd missed something in the story, and then straight after we have that scene where she loses her arm.
Yep.
So, oh, okay. Well, that shouldn't have happened. And I'm pretty sure I played it in the right order. So, yeah, I think they need to do some fixes there. I did feed that back to them as well on the review server.
From my experience, kind of in the same boat as you guys. I'm still playing a boatload of Diablo 4. We just finished up Hardcore Bros with Fighting Cowboy last night. For Leviathan, this is Tuesday, July 11th. That's when we are recording. Um, but we finished up Hardcore Bros last night. All four of us made it through the campaign. Ended at level 45, I think. Uh, Only one death, and it was mine on the first episode. So after that, smooth sailing.
Nice.
Rip Xanth.
Yeah, really lived up to my hardcore experience for most of the game. I have a 63 hardcore druid that is completely parked right now. I will not play him because he has done all the altars, his renown is set, and if he dies, I've only got, 9 days to go back and do that all again, and I absolutely do not want to, so I'm not going to. We're just going to pretend that that was the end for me on that character. I'll play the hardcore bro character and just mess around with him because he's pretty close, but I have to keep that character parked for the season. And then last, I've got a treadmill barbarian that has been going through, and like you mentioned, Nerdwards, I did just do a playthrough where I went 1, 3, 2, just to change it up because I find the playing through the story while I run is easier than just going dungeon to dungeon. It's just like more clear objectives. Like I will complete this, by, whatever distance that I'm at, and it just kind of keeps me focused. Um, but like I'm looking at season one, and I think that'll be a good segue here. I'm looking at season one, and I'm just marveling at how much of the game that I still want to play that I haven't had to play. I've only dabbled in a necromancer. I've still yet to create a sorcerer or a rogue. There's just so much yet to explore, and I know when season one starts, I'm still not going to do those things because I'm going to go right back and make a druid. Um, like I said, that's a good segue. We got season one. After a little bit of waiting and playing Diablo 4 for all this time, we were introduced to what the first season will be. Season of the Malignant. Um, it just doesn't roll off the tongue as I kind of
I thought
expected.
the same thing. Of all the words to use for the first season, Malignant was the choice. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of thought it would be like a one word thing. Uh, like, and we can't use cataclysm, right? But that was like, oh, I'm playing the Diablo Season 1 Cataclysm. Oh, okay, yeah, that draws me in. Season of the Malignant. Yeah, okay, but semantics aside, we
Think they've
have
used corruption. Have Path of Exile used that before? Corruption.
corruption. Uh, no.
Yes, they did.
Did
Oh,
they use
there you go.
corruption?
Corruption, they did.
They had a
I thought they
corruption
did.
feature. I don't think they used that as a league
Oh, is like
title.
the title? No. Sorry, I was thinking of the. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so like, Abyss, Legion. Um, all right, now we're
There's
just
many other catchy
yeah, there's
things
so
you
many.
can use.
I'm good with just going back to numbers, right? Just
Mm.
season 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't. Why do we have to name it and make it all this big?
Marketing.
That's weird.
So they
Whatever.
But
have a
we,
battle pass to sell.
yeah, that's the other
Yes,
part
they do.
is all the battle passes that we have bought are going to get put into use. So we got some details about the battle passes. We
Finally.
got the season of Malignant or of the Malignant. We got Malignant hearts so that we no longer just have to drop skulls into our jewelry, different colored sockets, and new uniques and new aspects. What are your thoughts around season one and all those details? Feel free to elaborate wherever you want.
So,
Uh,
Malignant Hearts are basically legendary gems from Diablo 3. That's what they look like to me. Which is a good thing. We're going to have all these extra powers. We're going to see some crazy builds, I think. I'm not sure how much of a fan I am of the coloured sockets. That sounds very Path of Exile to me, and I didn't enjoy Path of Exile, so we'll see how it goes. Hopefully they simplify it a lot more. And then, other than that, like having a new boss is pretty cool. I'm still enjoying the game, so having even more extra content, I'm happy with. I thought that the unique items that they said, was it 6 unique items that we're getting new ones? That didn't sound like a lot.
6 or
So is it going to be
7?
one? Yeah, is it going to be like a couple per class, or are they going to be usable across the classes? I don't know. I thought we'd get more than that.
I know that they said that there was going to be 7 aspects. I don't remember if they said how many uniques we were getting.
Yeah, it was 6 uniques. They did not specify if they were class specific or if they were universal, so we don't know on that. But I know the legendary aspects is 1 aspect per class, and then 2 just
Generic
aspects. Yeah. I'm waiting for everyone else to give their thoughts because I have a page of thoughts. I'm waiting for. So.
I just hope it lasts. Like I used to love doing Diablo 3 seasons, but we'd be done in a week, and then I wouldn't pick up the game again because you'd get all the equipment that you needed very, very quickly. And you do all the chapters, and I wasn't interested in grinding up to Greater Rift 150. I just wanted the cosmetics at the end of it. So once I got that, I was like, peace out. Hopefully this, because there's a battle pass and there's so many chapters to that, and there's different activities that you can do as well. There'll be a bit more longevity. We'll see. Like how much are we going to interact with these monsters once we've got I keep saying gems. Once we actually get the hearts that we want for our build.
You could call them what they are. That's fine.
Yeah, they
They-
are
we
all
hearts.
know.
We're
Yeah.
You're
gonna
absolutely
level-
right, Jen.
We're gonna level
Yeah.
up our hearts. Yeah, whatever. So once we've got them and we've got our build, are we gonna stop and fight these monsters, or are we not gonna bother? We're gonna go straight back to doing hell tides.
It's
How's
a
it gonna work in
6-second wait.
practice?
It's a 6-second wait. You walk in, you click a thing, you wait. You kill one guy, you wait.
Mm-hmm.
You kill a group of guys, you wait, you get the heart. There's no shot. Once you get what you want, you're done. You're never gonna touch it again. Unless it's
which is my concern. Like,
Right.
Are we gonna be playing this for weeks and weeks, or are we gonna be like, yeah, peace out, get our cosmetics, we're done. We're gonna go back to doing hell tides.
It depends on if they
we'll
actually
see.
vendor. Because right now the problem with gems in general dropping on the ground is they vendor for like nothing at all. So if there's like an actual reason, you can pick them up, you can salvage them and craft other hearts. So that seems beneficial. But once you get very similar to getting like your ancestral piece that's got the 4 stats you want the most, I'm not picking up any more of that item anymore, right? I don't really need it unless it's like a 0.1% chance for an upgrade. So the chance of that is not even worth me walking over and clicking the button at that point.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how it plays out. But that's my speculation. Is this going to take too long? And especially for the blasters out there, they're just going to be like, okay, got mine, move on.
Yeah, because I think previously they said that there's about 80 hours worth of content in like the seasonal journey, the battle pass. So that won't get you to 100, type thing. Well, for super blasters and people that are playing super efficiently, of course, it will. But like, I think it took me, I think I hit 100 at about like 150 hours. And that was, with a couple of days with the added XP boost. It's going to be faster now, but it is, that should take you to about like 80-ish, which is about where a lot of people have been going through and complaining that the game begins to feel stale. That they've done everything, they completed all of the challenges, and now it's just, do I have the goal set for myself to get to level 100 and spend all that time getting there? Because I don't see as much of a reward for going through and grinding. By like level 80, your glyphs will be the glyphs for like whatever build that you want to do are maxed out. Respecking is prohibitively expensive. To just even try like swapping the same, like not even touching my talent tree, just swapping my Paragon board and wanting to go through and try out like a different sever, like a different like loadout for sever or something like that. And you're spending a couple million gold, and then if you want to re-roll items and all other type of stuff, completely changing specs. As Macro was saying on the last show, he's spending like 40 million gold a pop type thing just to like swap specs, in order to test it for max roll and everything. And it's it definitely is the grind at the end is the thing that people are wanting and asking for. And as you both kind of said, I don't think that the hearts are it. It's great. It's a nice system to go through and add on top of it. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fun going through and trying to get like the combination of hearts that you need for your particular build, and then the items with the proper colored sockets and all of that also support it. But then once it's like good enough, it's good enough. Unless you want to do Uber Lilith, or they added another pinnacle boss, at the end, which they added a new boss, as part of like the seasonal journey. But it doesn't sound like it's going to be something on the level of Echo Lilith.
It'll probably be like the rest of the bosses in the game right now, where cold enchanted quill rats are more dangerous than any boss that's in the game. It's not Uber Lilith right now. And if you know what I'm talking about, if you've walked around a corner in Mallwood and had 3 of those damn quill rats just peck you with cold enchanted, and then you're dead. Good luck. GG. Okay, so I
hold on. I want to give you a segue. And now,
okay.
Nerdwards rant of the week.
No,
Season
we're not
1.
ranting. It's not a rant. It's not a rant. I was perfectly whelmed. I was not overwhelmed, not underwhelmed. I was perfectly whelmed. I did not expect something groundbreaking. I'll be honest with you, taking the Diablo stuff aside, I know Rod Ferguson, and Rod Ferguson is what they call a closer. He comes in to get games shipped. When he came into the Diablo 4 team, they were going to start rushing timelines. That's what was going to happen. We're basically beta testing the game right now. If you think about itemization, you think about some of these little things that have popped up. I mean, it's further along than it was 8 months ago, but it's not a finished product. The game could have been sitting in development for another year probably before it was really ready. And that goes to show with like the lack of leaderboards or the fact we won't have leaderboards till at least probably season 3. The way that, like you said, Jen, with the story, right? A little thing like that, like that's a pretty big miss, right? To like give a spoiler for something that happens in the story in the actual game as you're playing it. Now, mind you, that's not a knock on Rod. That's what he does. He's good at it, and the game is great. I'm playing the hell out of it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm fine to beta test Diablo 4. Like I'm good with that. But that's really kind of like where my mindset has been, is that we're kind of testing the game for what it's going to be in 3 to 5 years. Not necessarily the finished Diablo 4 product right now. And this is all going to aid into that. And there's going to be a lot of trial and error. And I think that I agree with you, Jen, on the colored sockets. I hate that idea. I don't like that in Path. It just limits what you could put in what. Here's what I like the least. You ready? You made the joke earlier, so I actually wrote it down on my fancy dandy notepad here. Armor. Those skulls in your jewelry is the equivalent of like the pair of pants you wear. And as a sorcerer, losing my pants fucks me, right? I already have no armor. So for me to lose, I know. Okay, I see the face. But the point
A lot
is
of
that,
times
like,
when
losing,
I lose my pants, never mind.
that's fair.
Different
But
story for a
losing,
different time.
but losing 750 armor as a sorcerer right now, it already feels terrible to play a sorcerer. And I love the class I'm still playing and I'm having fun with it. But playing any other class is like, wait, what? This is how this game is supposed to feel? Okay, this is kind of crazy. Because of the way armor scales. Which is an itemization thing we can go into later. But you're telling me that I'm going to drop 750 armor to put more damage? I don't need damage right now. Why do I need more damage? What do I need to go do damage to? Lilith? Even on a sorcerer, I can kill Lilith as long as I can cheese the mechanics and stagger her super fast. Now I can't. I'm not that good. Northward is just a god. Praise be. But that said, it's possible. The reason that the sorcerer and some in Necro feel bad is because we don't get that innate armor bonus that druids are getting, that rogues are getting from all their dexterity, that barbs are getting from all their strength. We can't fortify. At least the Necro can fortify, right? Sorcerers can't fortify. We have barriers. And yeah, an ice barrier, even on like a level 106 mob, not even like high pushing, right? We're talking like a 52 key will one-shot you through your ice barrier. So you're either immune to damage or dead. Literally high tier pushing for the sorcerer is pulling one white mob into a corner and hoping you can kill it before the CC immunity kicks in. And once they become immune to CC, you literally run away, wait for 5 seconds, and then come back and try to kill that one mob again. It's the worst gameplay loop I've ever seen in my life. It's bad. And this does not fix that. Giving me more damage is not going to help that. Now, that said, we haven't seen all the gems, right? So hearts. Jen's got me saying gems now too.
Sorry.
It's true. They're gems, right?
They're gems.
They're gems, right?
They're
malignant gems.
The hearts are gems in our heart.
That's it. Right here, right in my soul. And maybe there's some badass ones that give great defensive stats that make me want to drop that armor. And in which case, that's fine. Maybe they actually fix resistances. I don't see that happening, but maybe they do. Not for a while.
Season 2. Resistance fixes slated for 2.
But God forbid Shaco start dropping in the Helltide. Because we'll fix that right away. So like for me, like the season perfectly whelmed me. But prior to the launch of Diablo 4, I said that this was too fast for a season to start. And I feel that right now. Because I felt deflated, honestly. Not because I'm not enjoying the game. I'm enjoying the hell out of the game. But Jen's right. Logging in right now is like, what the fuck am I doing? Why I'm playing just because I'm like special and I have to, right? Like I'm just like, oh, it's time to play Diablo. But at the end of the day, what am I really accomplishing? Like I'm progging Uber Lilith a little bit, but I suck. I doubt I'm gonna get that fight down, especially in the time before the season starts. It doesn't feel like I want to go play right now. I want to play because I want to play, but when I'm thinking of like my efficiency brain, it kicks in and goes, yeah. Or you could just wait and go do something else and come back and just go hard on season 1, right? But I want to play right now.
Any targets you can possibly come up with right now.
You're not going to hit.
In season 1.
Yeah.
I might as well do it there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right? I could do it in the season. You're exactly right? So that felt a little deflating with it. But now, mind you, that's part of the seasonal cycle with Diablo. So that's fine. But this is the fastest we've ever had a season 1, right? Diablo 3 didn't have a season this fast. Diablo 4 or Diablo 2 didn't have a season. It was 3 years into Diablo 2 before we had our first ladder. So we got to like establish the game, learn the game, and then let's go compete. we're 6 weeks in basically at this point, not even 6 weeks in yet. And we're about to go jump into the season. Now, mind you, there's no leaderboard, so there's no reason to compete. So we're really resetting for what? Why? Because we're testing the game for them. That's why we're resetting it. We're going to test how the ladder is going to work out for them, how these mechanics are going to fit, and how they're going to play into the game. And again, I'm down to do that, but let's call it what it is. It's not a season, really. This is a test. It's a PTR.
They could have let that launch date breathe, I think.
I think so
as I'm
too.
excited to play it, yeah. We could have gone a few more months.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I could have easily leveled a couple more characters still. I could push to 100 on my rogue. I could try to get Lilith down. They could maybe fix the fight so it's not complete cancer. Hard is good. Cancer is not good. Malignant, actually. But, I just think that, like, there's a lot of fundamental things that are wrong with the game right now that should be fixed before we start trying to get a battle pass in. But that's where that closer mentality comes in, and we need to go get that money. And I get it, and I'm willing to give it. I already paid for the first one anyway, right? So it's fine. But let's call it what it is, right? We're paying to beta test a little bit right now, and yeah, the hearts are perfectly whelming. Not quite as bad as Double Goblins, but a little bit better than what they could have done.
I think you do hit on something though, like season one, and part of like some of the issues that have cropped up, like you're talking about with resistances and leaderboards and stuff like that, where it's like, no, we can't do that because season one is done, right? Season one was ready for launch. We're just holding it and we'll drop it, as we know now, July 20th. Um, it'll be interesting to see what season two is. I really wanted season one to seem like an absolute slam dunk because I feel like it needs that. Uh, but I think that is going to have to wait till season two. And I think season two becomes that new benchmark of judging what Diablo 4 is. I'm in it for the long haul, but not everybody
I have a
is.
question real quick for Jen and Nine. Do you guys know Corman, the guy in the trailer, right?
Yeah.
Did that not sound exactly like the voice actor who played Simon?
Did it sound familiar? I thought it might be an actor that I knew
Like
from another show.
I might
I'm
be
looking
wrong,
it
and I'll have
up.
to look at it. Yeah, I'll have to look at it when the credits come out and stuff like that. But like, it really felt like to me like the Simon, the Herod or the Herodic Mage or whatever in the opening trailer with the by three they come that quest.
Yeah.
It felt like his voice. It sounded like his voice to me, which is fine because he was great, right? And I thought they just found a way to bring him like that actor back as a character that was somewhat similar. Which again I would back completely, but I just didn't know if you guys knew off the top of your head. I figured you guys might.
No.
No.
I
Thought
am
hadn't
excited about
actually
new
even
characters.
crossed my mind.
Oh, I got you. I am excited about new characters and new little bits of story. It's not going to be like a new act or like new stories like that, but I want to see where the story goes with that. I am intrigued by the idea, like from a lore perspective, of why this guy is for some reason the one who's dealing with this, not anyone else. Not Laura's not like, we got to go do this thing. This random guy we've never met's like, no, there's a problem and we got to fix it right now. And why where was he at when we were
Where
fighting
was he? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When
He
I was
at the
chopping.
cabin.
Yeah, I don't want to give spoiler stories. This is not a spoiler episode, but
We've
yeah.
already
Anyways,
spoiled it. We can at this
assuming
point,
they
if you
listen in
don't
chronological
know,
order, not everyone does. I'm still
Yeah.
trying to be respectful, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think that they just want to bring that guy back, which hey, is fine with me. But just curious about that. So,
what are you guys' plans for season one? I mean, are you? I know some
Working.
of you can't, but are you going to
so
go hard?
as hard as I can, I have vacation next week, so I'm gone. I leave Friday, and I don't come back. I come back on the 21st, I think. Yeah. So I will be able to, and that's assuming I drive 18 hours overnight, right? So I'll probably get back more like the 22nd, which means I'll have Saturday, half a day, Sunday, and then I'm back at work Monday. So I can go as hard as I can for about 36 hours, and then I'm back to work. And then I'll play pretty hard in the evenings, and then really hard the next weekend for sure. But I'm not going to do what I want to do with it because I couldn't plan around it. They didn't give me dates early enough. So
I'm
I know.
hoping for my house move it's pretty imminent. It's like within the next 2-3 weeks. So knowing my luck, It will be when season 1 starts, so I'm not going to be able to start at the same time as everyone else, but I'm at peace with it. It's fine.
Yeah, again, there's no leaderboard, right? So I don't feel like
Yeah.
super compelled to dive in right away. I'm gonna do it just because I want to practice leveling. That's why I did the campaign again. That's why I've leveled a few other characters. I want to just get better at leveling efficiently and having fun while I'm doing it. I don't want to just grind the same dungeons or the same strongholds or whatever. I want to be able to like check things off my list as I go, but also still be pretty efficient with it. And I think that'll be good for the practice. But yeah, I'm with them. It is what it is. There's no leaderboard anyway, so we'll see how it plays out.
We always get screwed with the start times in Europe as well. So, like, you
Right.
guys get it at a reasonable time of day, maybe when you finish work.
7
And it
p.m.
will,
about
yeah,
usually.
it will kick off here at something like 1, 2 in the morning. So, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll
I
screw
mean,
us. I know they will.
you're
Yep.
up now. You'll be totally fine.
Yeah. It's fine, Jeff.
It's
Um,
practice. This is a practice
yeah,
run.
this is we're trying to prep you for the season.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you guys going to
So
play the same class that
Yes.
you played?
Because I hate myself.
there are classes other than necromancer.
uh, so I shared on the last pod, but so my birthday is on July 21st, which really this has been one of my favorite summers that I have experienced. I get Diablo 4 right at the start. As a teacher, I don't work during the summer. Um, and then I've got my birthday coinciding with the season. It's gonna be awesome. I'm gonna wake up in the morning. I'm gonna do one thing stupid. I'm gonna run because I'm turning 40. I'm gonna run 40 miles that day, but I'm gonna start it with like
This man
10 to 15 miles
celebrates in
on the
ways that
treadmill playing
no human
Diablo.
being celebrates their 40th birthday by running 40 miles. Like, you're insane. Also, that's really cool and inspirational. But you're insane. That's
It is,
insane.
but I'd never do it.
Right.
No, yeah,
I'm-
never. No, I'm good.
So-
Again, it's
well, I
stupid,
will say
but
so. I turn 40 next year, and you have inspired me to like just sit on the couch.
Hey, there we go. That's it. That's it.
I'll run an extra mile for you on that day. So just
I'm just going to eat 40 chicken nuggets.
Yes.
Oh,
Let's
high
go.
five on that! I could do that one.
Same.
I could do that one with ease.
But I will start my morning with 10 or 15 on the treadmill because it's going to be early because I need to get it out during the day because it's summer and it's hot, so I don't want to spend my whole day out in the sun. And I'm just going to be grinding the season. I'm going to be playing my seasonal character, just having fun on the treadmill. Uh, I'm excited. I am excited, and it'll be a druid gen. It's always a druid. They're just so much
I respect
fun,
that.
guys. They're so much fun.
Druid is ridiculous right now. I like how all the shade and hate it was getting in the betas and stuff. I mean, look, we were throwing it too. I'm not sure if you've seen some of them builds out there, but some of those druid builds, especially the what is it, the werewolf lightning build, that is like one of the coolest builds. I'm calling him a furry Palpatine. I really want to try that build at some point. But like watching some of these druid, it's insane. It is insane to see the power that they have once they get every little piece lined up. It's disgusting. Every class has that to a certain extent, except for
Right.
sorcerers don't have as much armor and can't survive shit, but whatever.
I think this is a good transition as we start to move towards itemization. One of the things, and I'll let you guys do most of the talking here, but one of the things I've enjoyed around the Druid is that there are so many different options around gearing. It's still limited and there's still some issues around it, but I feel like Druid's in a decent spot where you're like, oh, I want to play this kind of Druid and I have items that support it. I want to play this kind of Druid and I have items that support it. Oh, I have a pretty good build I can play while I'm searching for those items that I want too, as opposed to feeling just lackluster because you're missing something. Um, that has been a huge blessing of the class. Now, it's not to say I don't think itemization needs some work, but that I think that has buoyed my enjoyment of the druid class. So I mentioned the segue. One of the things as a teacher that I feel like we do really, really well is we admire a problem. And we have no control over itemization. We cannot fix it, but we can definitely admire the problem that we see with it. What has been very surprising as of late when we talk about itemization, for as maligned as Diablo 3 was within the internet sphere, how many people have been clamoring for a return to it when it comes to stuff like itemization, which has just blown my mind. And then, of course, there's still those in the camp that D2 was the greatest game ever made, and it needs to be Diablo 2's itemization system. And then there are those who are just content with what Diablo 4 has. So there's no right answer. We're not going to fix anything. But I'm curious what has been happening with you as you've been playing around itemization. What are the issues that you are seeing? What are you experiencing? And if you have any thoughts around fixing it.
So while we're on the topic of druids and going into this one, I will say obviously there was some problems with the druid loot tables and uniques and such. But well, one of my best friends was also playing a druid, and he really wanted to try the werewolf lightning build that we just discussed, and he didn't get that stupid helm to drop until he was like 83. So he had to grind, and this was like one of those ones that kind of had some issues with Diablo 3's itemization, because with Diablo 3 it wasn't your skill choices or anything like that. It was your gear that determined your build, and so you had to have the exact pieces of gear and such, and that is where I feel for the developers at Blizzard. You want to make really cool, awesome, unique items that change things up, like that particular helm, but at the same time, you can't play the build without it. So no matter how badly you want to try it out, you're just kind of stuck. There's nothing that you can do. And then at that point, well, what do you do? Do you want to keep the thrill of finding a unique special and making them rare, which it is currently, but or do you have something to where it doesn't have to be like as rare? I leveled about halfway through as like a bone spear necro, and I kept having uniques just like thrown at me, in order to go through and do things. And then I wanted to switch. I swapped over and I started playing Sever, and I didn't have any uniques in order to support it. And the Sever unique is okay, so it doesn't even really matter that much. But I had the advantage to where my build started off strong, and then it was just the legendary aspects that could push it, and I had access to aspects. Yeah, that works. That from the Codex of Power that could push it on a little bit further. There's some that were a little bit rarer than others, or things I had to get like the bone storm barrier things I just could not find for the life of me. But then once I got it together, it was great, but I could still play the build. And I think that's one of the things, that there's certain build defining aspects, or in like the druid's case, like actual uniques that are required to do it, that there could be something to be done. Swap out the Codex of Power, or just make that particular unique a little bit more common for druids in order to find, just so that way we have the better ability to swap specs, and then maybe bring down the respec costs a little bit.
So I think, if we're looking to start bullet pointing certain things, which we're kind of alluding to, is the RNG aspect of build defining uniques, right? Um, to go back to Diablo 2, you didn't have that many build defining uniques. You had uniques that enhance whatever you were building on your
Yeah.
character, right? Whereas what you're talking about with the druid, like Tempest Roar, that is a helm that's desired by every druid, and it just does not drop. And then if you do get it to drop, as you alluded, you're at 95 or 83, and you've already kind of reached the end. And that is a big question when it comes to itemization: is what is the role of those things? Should uniques just be enhancing power, not defining a build? Or is it cool when you get a unique that does do that? No right answer, But I can't say as
Yeah.
a druid, not finding that helm, it has kind of sucked because I did want that. I wanted to try that. I can't now because, again, that character can't die because I don't want to find altars again. But man, it would be nice to have it. So is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. Other thoughts around itemization. Do we have a second bullet point?
I, Again, I have a list. Jen, do you have anything on this topic? Like, what are your thoughts here with what are you seeing in your playtime so far?
I haven't got the best things for my build yet, and I'm just over level 80. For me, it's I don't really feel like I've got a godly character yet, and maybe I would if I did have, it's the condemnation dagger that I need for my build.
Oh my
That
God, it's so
showstopper.
good. I'm telling you right now, Jen, if that's what you're playing penetrating shot, are you playing the penetrating shot, Jen?
No, I'm playing Flurry.
Okay,
Um,
got you. Yeah, so the combo points.
I would love to play penetrating shot. I actually prefer a ranged rogue, but leveling up just didn't feel good at all. The melee builds did, and that's what I've stuck with.
Yeah, I can speak to that too because I didn't find I was playing penetrating shot the whole way up. I wanted to play a ranged build too. Penetrating shot felt like the closest thing to like a multi-shot Zon. It's not the same, but it felt very similar, and it felt really, really good once you got a few pieces that were working. But you're right, it didn't feel great, and I say it didn't feel great because the second I switched to twisting blades, I went, "Oh, this is what the rogue's supposed to do." Got it? Because
Yeah,
it's just so good. It's
it's
just,
so
and
much
then of
stronger than
course,
any other build, but I don't
yeah,
enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it.
that's
I
fair.
don't want to play it.
It's a weird play style. I would say that like I was 78 when I played penetrating shot from 1 to 78, and then I hit
Mhm.
78. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just give it a shot, and I made the swap over, and I found condemnation at level 79. I went the whole way
Oh.
without having condemnation, and then I found it right away, and I'm like, well, now I don't need it because I'm playing twisting blades, right? So, yeah, I have a lot here. And look, at the end of the day, we're not developers. We can't fix this stuff, right? So, um, item levels, resistances, armor, vulnerability, damage
Okay,
calculation in general,
all right, all right. Slow down, slow down, slow down.
uniques, respecs.
You can't just list this off.
No,
We
I don't
should.
expect you to retain it. I'm getting to a point. I'm getting to a point. My point is, so again, item level, resistances, armor, vulnerability, damage calculation in general, uniques, including super uniques, and respec costs. It comes down to one thing. What the fuck do they want to do? Right? What are they trying to create? Because the idea when you went into this game was we want meaningful decisions to be made. So that's why the respec cost is expensive. Great. Then why is it every item that drops is my level? Right? If that's the case, you want me to re-roll a character, then why is it that great rare that I found, or that great unique that I found that was, sacred, right? Level 680, right? That I found when I was doing a Nightmare Sigil pushing over level 100. I found a sacred item that was level 680, but it has a required level of 100. Okay.
The same with aspects
That,
as well. If you rip an aspect off a piece of
yep,
gear of a certain level,
Yeah.
it will then brick your
yep,
next piece of gear that you
brick your
put it
item.
on.
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't make
ridiculous.
any sense. Now, I
Yeah.
will say that I like the idea of there being regular, ancestral, and sacred aspects, and that even having a level requirement attached to it. But why is it 100 for every piece of gear? Why not just
Mhm.
they could fix it easy? Set it at 50.
Yeah.
Just set it
Yeah.
at 50. Right? Anything over or 70 for ancestrals if you want to, right? Okay, so everything at level 70. If you're level 85, you drop an ancestral, it's gonna be required level 70, right? That allows me to, because that was the benefit of games like Diablo 2 and even Diablo 3 in certain respects where you find some really good gear. Oh, you know what? I'm going to save that for my witch doctor. I'm going to save that for my Amazon. Maybe they don't want us to do that, right? Okay, then let me respect my character, but they don't want us to do that either. So what the fuck are we supposed to do? Like, so it's, like that's where I get confused. And the respec costs are expensive. It costs about at level 100 about 14 million gold just to respec. That's your Paragon board, your skill points. The real cost, like Nine was saying earlier, and Macro said on the previous podcast, comes from re-rolling your legendaries and how expensive it is to enchant things. I don't think that that's necessarily bad. You can farm up 15 million gold in an hour or two with just grinding some dungeons. It's not too bad. But, again, what is their vision? You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that that's the biggest disconnect is that, like, while they want us to be locked into these builds, it's actually still more beneficial to just respec your character than it is to roll a whole new character with the way glyph leveling works on top of the gearing and the item level. There's a lot to that, right? But I think that's the first big question. But I think, honestly, it's hard to say what the biggest problem is with all of this. For me, it's got to be defense in general, armor and resist, and the difference between the two and how imbalanced it is. Because it affects so many different aspects of the game that you don't think about, right? Yes, it affects specific classes like the Necro, like the Sorcerer, right? Obviously, I'm very personally invested in that and how it affects me. But what if they just made intelligence give you armor as a temporary fix? Then it's fixed. So the problem is that armor is the end-all be-all for defense, right? It gives you more resistances than resistances do. So having all this intelligence, the benefit is better damage for your skills, like most classes, but then the added benefit of having a lot of resists. It doesn't matter. Lightning Enchant is going to one-shot me anyways because of the diminished returns you get on it. But armor doesn't work that way. Now, I don't want them to go nerf armor, though, because then we're all screwed. And then you're all going to feel how I feel when I go into a Nightmare Sigil, where I feel like my character was one of my friend group, the first to hit 100, and probably the most well-geared throughout that. I mean, I was carrying people that were higher level than me at different moments in the game. And I feel like nothing. I can do damage for sure as long as nothing touches me. But if literally a quill rat is the most dangerous thing in the world to me, it's terrifying. It's awful. But I think that also breaks down, like, I think that there's something wrong with the calculation of how damage is dealt to you. Personally, if we're talking broad strokes here, and I have a magic wand, I'm nerfing damage across the board, starting with vulnerable damage. I'm also nerfing the health pool of every mob at every level past World Tier 2, because I think that the game is overtuned already. I think that we're doing too much damage. I think that the mobs are doing too much damage. I think they have too much health in some cases. And I think that by bringing everything down a little bit, we can then expand a bit more. But we're going to be in Season 3 doing billions and billions. I mean, there's people already doing billions of damage. We haven't even hit the season yet. When we start adding that power creep from all the different, so how's it going to look in 6 months is going to be crazy.
All right, I'm gonna pause you for a second because I think you brought up some good points. I want to start with that item level part. That is one of the points of frustration that I really have hit playing hardcore is, you die. And in my case, you've already filled your Hall of Heroes. Yay me. Um, it's so impressive. Anyways, I have a stash. I've got a stash full of gear for whatever druid comes next. But it doesn't really do me any good because most of those items are gated behind levels that that character needs to reach. Um, there was something fun about every Diablo where when you found an item, that was your starter gear, right? You kept that in your stash for the next alt. To not have that or to like have that put behind a wall because I found it at level 55 or I found it at level 45 or whatever it might be, that feels counterintuitive. And to go back to what you were talking about, Nerdwords, one of the things they said when the game was coming out, and they were talking about Paragon, is like, yep, you're going to get to a point where it will be probably easier to roll an alt because it's going to be so expensive. But I can't roll an alt because what I want to do
Nope.
is I want to play that awesome. Like I found a Tempest Roar and I'm going to do that Storm Druid. But I can't because that Storm Druid helm is stuck at level 95. So I have to go 94 levels before I can make that build. And
You'll
what's
burn up
that?
before you even get to that level. Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's the problem. That's the problem I've got right now. I wanted to go through after I got to 100 with Sever. I wanted to try messing around with like a blood build. I got a couple of like decent like blood aspects and items with proper itemization on it and such. But like all of them are like in the 80s at the lowest, and half of them are 95 and higher. I'm not doing that again. And just to do it again next week, for a brand new season. Just it's one of those ones where it's like I don't know whether the solution is to make the item requirements lower, which I feel is a very elegant solution, or if maybe the grind. This argument could have no merit a year from now because there's more to do that feels more rewarding as you take that level grind up to 100. Because right now it's not. And I think that's one of the aspects that makes it feel a little bit more painful is that like am I just going to level up this necromancer to like level 87 to equip all those aspects that I got to try out this build that I wanted to do?
And then hate it.
Yeah, and then not like it, type thing.
Nothing about the game encourages experimentation at the moment. From that to the stash, the size of the stash, and how the aspects work, how they're arranged, the UI. It makes it a huge task just to test out a new character or a new build.
Very much so.
Which is not what they encouraged in Diablo 3. So I don't know where they're going with it in that respect.
What I think that the other side of that too is that how can I put this politically? Every character is geared the same. Vulnerable damage, armor, damage reduction versus close, damage reduction versus distant, and then whatever your additive pool is, whether it's core skill damage, it's damage to frozen, damage to stun, whatever happens to be, right? So I don't care if you're playing a barb, the only difference might be maybe you're stacking fortify because I can't do that, right? So if you can stack fortify, you should probably be stacking fortify. So I think that like even like with the benefit of a game that is that universal and has everyone stacking the same stats on the same pieces of gear, right? Is that okay? Well, I've got this badass pair of legs. Let me go take that and give that to this character and have them play around with it. But again, the item level requirement, right? So it becomes this like frustrating. And there's nothing worse. There's nothing worse in the world than playing the game and you have a friend who's really trying to find this one unique item, right? And they can't find them, and you've had one drop in every dungeon for the last 3 dungeons, but you can't give it to them, and you gotta sell it. It's the worst. I mean, and look, I get that they don't want a huge trade market and all that stuff, I guess, and I'm fine with that, because again, I think that Diablo 3 did a really good job of rewarding you for playing the game over going to external websites or forums or whatever to trade, or creating lobbies like you did in Diablo 2. I don't want to go back to that at all. But it would be pretty badass if I found a really good aspect that rolled perfect, but I'm not going to use in my rogue buddy Will, that I could just sell it to him, give it to him, whatever it is, right? I think that aspects, at the very least, should be tradable. Not the items, maybe not the legendary item they're on, but if you extract it and then could sell it, I think that'd be pretty cool. Maybe that's a fix they could put in play. But again, the level requirement, they got to fix that. They got to fix the level requirement. Yeah. That can't be intended, man. It can't be. If it is intended, then we just need we need one of the devs to come out and address this issue, instead of taking their carbon copy, questions they get from the 5 people that they're allowed to ask questions, and actually answer some of the burning questions that we're asking, because we don't know what their design philosophy is. And if at the end of the day they want us to reroll characters, okay, then make glyph leveling a little bit better, and don't make me run nightmare sigils for 70 levels. That'd be great. Until then, I'm going to do what feels the best, and right now that's respeccing, unfortunately, even though it's expensive.
I think
their solution as well was that scroll, wasn't it? And why give us a scroll? Just give us a button.
Right.
Just want a button.
Yeah.
Why does
right.
it have to
that's
be a
it.
scroll? Yeah.
And you get one.
Agreed.
You brought up another point. We talk about itemization. You brought up trade. So trade does exist.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but it does.
On the official Diablo Discord, it's really active and toxic, but it's there.
We'll say official in air quotations. Because it's just the Reddit Discord, or the Diablo 4, not the Diablo Reddit Discord, the Diablo 4 Reddit Discord. That's it. They've gotten a partnership with Blizzard, but it is not official. It's not run by Blizzard. Or anything like that. They're just there, but it's run by the Reddit mods.
But good to know. We talk about trade. You can trade gold. You can trade rare items, and that's about it. There isn't really anything in game to foster that. Like, I believe there's a trade chat. I'm not going there. Yet
we
alone
only have
trying
12 players per shard, though. So having a trade chat with 12 players per shard feels like a bit of a...
Maybe that guy's got what I need.
Yeah.
But as we go into like what is itemization, we can't trade for the things that we really want that define our build. So why are we trading? And then even if I could, right? Even if I could trade for somebody who had one of the things I really wanted, what would I have to offer?
Gold. And I actually do
Like,
like that about
yeah,
the trade. I think that like that's the one thing I do like is that there's an economy that you can build through that, right? So like finding good rare, like for instance, if I'm grinding and I find, oh, that's a really nice ring. I've already got crit vuln max life on my rings, but that's what most people are running anyways. So crit chance, crit damage, vulnerability damage, and then either max life, total armor, resource generation, whatever is their fourth stat basically for literally just about every single class. So you do that, you find one, right? And I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I'm gonna trade it. It's level 100. Okay, never mind. Right, and so it's like I can't even go sell it for economy at that point, right? I'm literally vendoring it for 30K or actually 15K instead of like, oh, this guy offered me 6 million gold. That'd be sick if it was level 80 or below, but it's not the case, right? So yeah, it's all
I'm
these
having this
problems.
problem with my partner because we're both playing rogue, but he's like 10, 15 levels above me, and he's like, "Oh, look at this great piece of equipment I found that I can't give to you."
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
frustrating.
it's really frustrating, and especially for a game that is like very console-y, right? like Diablo 4 is very console-y, which is fine. I have consoles. I don't play it on console, but I have them. But like if I'm playing side by side with my girlfriend and I bring in my level 86 rogue and she's level 80 on her necro, and I find a really nice ring that she could use, again, okay, but you got to wait 6 more levels, and those 6 levels are going to take you, by the way, like 20 hours of gameplay to get them too. So it's just like I don't know. It doesn't make sense. How the item level works and how it all scales, but it again it bleeds into so many different aspects of the game. And it kind of comes back to what I said. Like this is not something they're going to be able to fix. Like they can't fix that one thing with item level. They could probably fix, but how much does that break in the rest of the game? I'm not sure. We're talking like none of this is probably going to really seriously be looked at besides little balance changes and tunings until we get an expansion, which we don't know when that'll be. Right? Not yet, at least. So.
we, I don't know. I would like to think, we look at Diablo 3's timeline, itemization, and Jay Wilson has talked about it with us before, was one of the things they knew they needed to fix. And we got a first round of itemization uh, relatively soon. It was pre-expansion where they tried to tackle that. It would be nice if something was addressed. We know it won't be season one, but it feels like if the goal is to keep people coming, we got to sell more battle passes, right? You got to keep them playing so that they play through the battle pass. If you're not getting the items you want, you're not able to play the build that you want, how likely are you going to show up for season two? How likely are you going to show up for season three? To know, like, I really wanted to do, I'm going to keep going back to Storm Druid, but I really wanted to do that, but I could never find the items, and I'm not going to find them this time. So I'll go play Armored Core 6. I'll go play, uh, you know, I know you're going to be doing that. Uh, or, if we're looking at October, maybe I'll go play Spider-Man, right? They're competing all the time to get people to come back. This is a big issue that I would hope that they're going to tackle.
And also, some of the things that we're asking for are things that we've had before in
Yeah.
previous games.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
why are we being told to wait such a long
Ex-
time? You shouldn't
Nail
roll
on the
back
head.
quality of life.
Yep.
It's also it's one of those ones that it's another layer deep because it's not just things that we had before. It was things that were made by the same people that are making Diablo 4.
Yeah.
It was that there was a lot of like miscommunication. There was a lot of wasted resources. There's a lot of back and forth and indecision that was going on with the early years of development of Diablo 4, and it really does seem that the picture that we've gotten in little bits and pieces is that like the majority of like the tuning and the development of Diablo 4 has really only happened, in like the last like 2 years, which is also coincides with a lot of like video game development where there's a lot of like lead up and then a lot of crunch at the end, unfortunately. And so I think that there's definitely things that we can go through and see that there was just we don't have time, ship it, as is. And I would hope that changing the required level to equip an item is easier in order to change than, everyone makes jokes about they turned off the Shakos in an hour, but it took them 2 weeks in order to go through and fix the Druid loot tables. Where anyone that is a developer will probably see that and be like, yeah, because it's a lot easier to, refill your oil than it is to completely replace your oil system, inside of your car. That they're not the same, they're not equivocal in any shape or form. But to the end user, us, it looks the same, so we make memes about it. But I hope that there are some things that are easier to fix that they can go through and address. Kind of like in these season to season updates, where I know like stash tabs is going to be huge, and anyone that has ever talked to anybody about any game that has any type of inventory management is one of the most complicated database backend things in order to go through and do. And I hope that they have built-in space for more stash tabs, and they were just very conservative at the beginning. Because they wanted to, stress test their servers and see how much it could handle, and that as the seasons go on, they'll just give us more stash tabs. Because as it is right now, like I would feel cheated if the first time that they have a stash tab extension, I have to pay for, because I don't feel as if like I have enough. But it's definitely one of those ones where it's like I feel that like a lot of the systems and things, like a lot of the issues that we have, like we all enjoy the game, we all are having fun, but there's definitely little tiny things that there's kind of like cracks in the veneer, which can hopefully be polished over in relatively short order, and then we're not having to go through and wait too long for some of these quality of life stuff.
Well, my only problem with the stash tab space, while you're right, and they did go conservative, is that like Diablo 2, Diablo 3 had a personal stash tab. We don't have that in Diablo 4. Every stash tab is shared, right? So at least let my rogue have their own stash tab to be able to throw stuff in there. And adding that should have been something that was brought up in betas, was brought up in internal testing. Like, did anyone play? I mean, I'm playing mostly
Well, Diablo 3
character.
did not have a personal stash tab. Diablo 3 is shared across your entire account.
All this, where are they? Have I been playing that much D2R?
Right. Yeah, you have been playing that much D2R.
I guess
D2R
so. Okay.
was the first one with a personal stash tab, because Diablo 2 was only a personal stash tab. Them adding additional stash tabs was an addition into the game. And it was just because that's the way that game was built. There was no changing that. There wasn't coming back from it. But yeah, Diablo 3 has always been a shared stash tab. There was no personal stash tab.
Well, maybe it's not within their capability then. I don't know. And you're right, a lot of these changes, but I'm telling you right now that like the memeing thing about the Shako, I think is warranted, because yes, it is easier to do that than change some of these things, but some of these things shouldn't take months to fix. But because their development cycle is what it is, it's not a priority to fix, and that's a different conversation.
That's actually a thing to think about as we enter into season one. One of the bigger issues with Path of Exile is stuff like this, where bigger things crop up and people want to point, like, I would like to see this fixed, or even small quality of life things, like, I would like to see this fixed. But because of being stuck in the cycle of a season or a new expansion or whatever it is coming out, League, that's the word I'm looking for, a new Path of Exile League, a lot of those issues kind of get pushed aside. And after a few weeks with, a new league coming out, people focus their attention on the new shiny thing, play for a few weeks, and then, hey, here's that issue again. Can we maybe get that fixed? Well, we can't, because we're like 6 weeks out from the new league. That's what I would hope doesn't happen here, is that these issues aren't pushed aside and distracted by the new shiny thing, but they are being worked on continuously, even if the timetable's not as swift as we would like it to be, that it is actually going to get worked on. Because for me, that's going to be the biggest issue. One of the things that, not to harp on Path of Exile so much, but Diablo 4 will have some real competition I think soon we're going to hear about Path of Exile 2 in about 2 weeks.
A week after the
And,
season launch.
and that looks
And
badass from what I've seen of it so far. I'll have a go, even though I didn't enjoy Path of Exile 1. I'm
there,
going to try it out.
it it does look like a massive step up from what Path of Exile
Mhm.
was. Is it going to still carry a lot of the complexity? Probably, which I know sometimes turns people off. I think having both games be successful is a good thing. I think they make
Mhm.
each other better. Um, you can have room in your heart for two ARPGs. You can only wear one robe at a time, though. So here
Mhm.
we are. Now, you had a bunch of other points. I'm going to skip a few of them, Nerdwords.
Sure.
You talked about vulnerability, and that's almost like vulnerability is like a system-wide thing. Talked about damage calculations, but I'm going to jump to the
Well, hang
sexy
on.
one. I'm going to jump
I'm
to
not
the
gonna.
sexy one.
Hang on a second. Hang on a
Sexy
second.
one.
My only problem with vulnerability is how required it is. It's
Yeah.
not. I don't even like if overpower or these other affixes were just a little more impactful to your damage, it'd be fine. I think vulnerability is fine. But the fact is, right now, as a sorcerer, just again as my most important example, as a sorcerer, I can't proc vulnerability without Frost Nova. So if I'm running fire, I have to have Frost Nova. If I'm running lightning, I have to have Frost Nova. If I'm running ice, I have to have Frost Nova. Now, Frozen Orb and Blizzard can also proc it too after they tick the chill until it freezes. Then they're vulnerable, right? Which is great. But like a
Useless
barb, a
against
druid,
bosses.
yeah. But all these other characters just get it because of the exploit glyph. Because they're just constantly making everything around them vulnerable all the time. And here's the best part. They don't have the immunity to CC that affects that vulnerability. Whereas when my mobs get immune to CC, I now can't make them vulnerable. So now I have to wait until they can be CC'd again before I can even do any damage at all. And that feels really short-sighted and terrible design. That's bad. And I think that the damage calculation in general needs to be looked at because of that, because the way the buckets work and everything, one, the theory crafting on how we thought it would work was more interesting than how it actually works, and that's scary too. But yeah, that's a whole different thing. But now jump, sorry.
Okay. So we started at the top end. I think like getting to the close here today. Let's go back to super uniques. There are a few of them. None of us have found them. Um,
And at the current drop rates,
We
technically
won't
none of us will find them.
ever in
When
our
you're talking
lifetimes.
about when you're talking about not even single digits, we're talking like singular cases of some of the items, and so there's a couple that still have not had confirmed drops. While Diablo is going through and putting out infographics about the hundreds of millions of hours that have been played of the game, and while the mobs have to be level 85, and that is a very interesting cutoff point because more than half the people haven't played. The majority of people haven't even beat the campaign yet. But even for those people that are over level 85 are making up a significant portion of those hours because they're over level 85. um, and that it's just like no one is finding these items. They might as well just not exist.
Have
Like
you
there's
seen the data mine
I
drop like numbers for them?
I have not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we don't know what this means. So take these numbers with giant grains of salt.
Yeah.
The drop rate for a Shaco is 1. 1. For instance, your average uniques, your ESOs, heirlooms, your condemnations, your wind forces are 400,000 and 800,000. So just think about that. It would take you finding 400,000 condemnations to find one Shaco.
Yeah. At that point,
And this is a game with a 3-month season cycle.
yeah,
What the
it's there's chase items, and then there's what this is, and I don't
Yeah,
even know what to
yeah.
call it.
I think
Terrible.
like what I was noticing like obviously throughout the entire duration of the Twitch drops that have been happening with Blizzard, there are streamers playing Diablo like it's their job because it is their job. And I cannot think of a single one of them that has found one of these.
None of them have.
And
No.
if they can't find it, I'm not going to. And like that is we talk about itemization and like that doesn't feel good. I'm okay with not finding things due
Sure.
to
Yeah.
limited play and like, but to have it feel like an impossibility, that sucks.
I think it's super cool to have these rares and have something to aim towards, but you can't even aim to get these.
Yeah.
You're never gonna get one. And previously I thought people were being quite dramatic when they were acting like it actually impacted their enjoyment of the game enough to not want to play it, knowing that these rares existed. It doesn't impact my enjoyment. I've just accepted I will never see one. I've made peace with it. I'm happy with the equipment that I do get. But at the time, I thought, well, if they don't drop until after level 85, how many players have we actually got that are over that level at this point? Do we really know how many are there? But it's obviously become apparent now that there aren't any. I mean, if only 140 drops in that glitch, yeah, it is going to be impossible. And I do think that they need to tune that.
The thing about that too, it glitched and everyone was getting them. Everyone was getting them. It was 142, right?
Yeah.
But that's how bad the drop rates are, right? Like even when they're glitched to drop like way more than they're supposed to,
And
you
I was
had less than
texting, yeah.
200 people impacted by them, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like I like having a chase item too, right? Like I'm for that for sure. But again, like the new season starts next week, and in the 3 months that season's going to be live, how many Shakos are going to drop? And look, you don't have to have a Shako. I get it, right? That's fine. Shako, if that's like the god tier, like, oh my god, I found one, this is amazing. But now it feels worse because then the season's over in 2 months, and then you're going back to not having it, and you got to try to find one again. And good luck. You found one, you're never finding another one. You
Mhm.
Yeah.
never find, like, you will die before you find. You'll get struck by lightning 3 times before you find another Shako at the rates that are being projected right now.
And then if you
Um,
did find one, every season after that would suck.
And
Yeah.
you just wouldn't. I just stay in
Yeah.
Eternal Realm, right? I would never play the
Yeah.
season. So
Just holding your
what is
Shaco.
right? What's the design philosophy? And I think that look, and again, I do want to say because I obviously I've got a list of things that are broken. I want to say that I am enjoying parts of the itemization as well too. Okay, like I do like that. Like I'm level 100, but I'm still looking at all my ancestral rares. Now, mind you, I'm not looking at sacreds. I'm not looking at blues, obviously, but I'm still looking for the right rolls on stuff. Now, mind you, if it's less than item level 740 or 780, I'm really probably not looking at as much, unless it's jewelry, and then I'm still looking at if it's above 720, so on and so forth. So there's definitely breakpoints where I stop looking for certain things, but like I'm not looking at rares in Diablo 3 like ever, right? So
Yeah.
after a certain point, so I think that they did a better job with that for sure. I do think that some of the affixes are a little more interesting. I do think there's too many qualifiers: damage to stun, damage to frozen, damage while CC, damage. There's so many of those that feels a little like not great design or almost lazy design. I hesitate to say that, but these other problems, and especially the unique problem, there's an in between somewhere. I don't like. Jen mentioned it earlier with Diablo 3, right? A week in a Diablo 3 season, if you've been playing any amount of time, a significant amount of time, especially, you're geared to shit and back. You're able to push and do what you want to do. Your season journey's done. You're playing for fun at that point, which I'm okay with, right? But I felt like that was a little too fast, right? A little too quick. You kind of get that dopamine hit, and then you're out the door, right? Diablo 4, it's too much. I think, in some respects, I do think that that some pacing of it is really good. I do think that there are some like Umbral, right? The Umbral aspect is so rare,
Yeah.
and then finding a good roll of that Umbral aspect is even rarer. I do think that there's some tuning to the loot table that needs to be adjusted as well to make some of these a little more common. But at the end of the day, like until we know what their philosophy is, it's hard to even recommend a suggestion because obviously me and whoever's making these decisions don't agree, right? So, okay, well, what is your thought process here so that I can try to think in that headspace? Because right now, I don't get it. I just don't. As someone who's played Diablo a long time and
No,
plays a lot of RPGs, it's rough.
I would say it's not even necessarily that you guys don't agree, that they just ran out of time.
Probably so.
Yeah. Because there's definitely things that you can see that were kind of like, yeah, the game just, they had to launch.
Yeah.
And we know that it sat there stagnant for years because of the ineptitude at the people at the helm.
Yeah.
That were just driving in circles. And that they really didn't get to flex their creativity, their design aspects and stuff like that until until like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So
When it comes to these uniques, kind of going back to, the question of what is it? These uniques feel like and their journal rights feel like they're okay in Diablo 2.
Yeah. Hmm.
It doesn't feel okay in Diablo 4 because Diablo 4 seems to have almost the Diablo 3 mindset of loot of like, hey, we want you to be able to find everything you want, but you can't also have super uniques with that philosophy, right? If you're going to have these ones that are dropping at that level of rarity, then you need a trade system. You need some way to get it that isn't just mindlessly farming for thousands of hours, and even then you're not going to get it.
It should also be noted too in relation to Diablo 2. You would find over 100 Tyrael's mites before you find a Shaco in Diablo 4, based on the odds. Think about that. I've never found a
yeah,
Tyrael's mite in Diablo 2 ever in 20
I've
years.
literally never found a Death's Web. And
Yeah.
that
I
that
mean,
was that one's very very similar. Try playing a Poison Necro without that. It's not gonna have a good time.
At that point, why even
Um,
waste the asset, right? Like, why are we
well,
even spending development time to make those items? Like, it
in
feels weird to me.
in tandem with that though,
but
you find your Tyrael's Might, you find your Death's Web, you find anything. It's
I can go
not
trade it.
locked. It's not locked at level 100 either.
yeah,
Also, yes.
It's
Yep.
it's not locked where you can't use it again or again and again. Um, there's the uniques running into a different system that is also hindering it. Even if I did find a Shaco and I get it at, and it's locked at level 100, how much am I actually going to be able to use it?
Imagine finding a
mm,
sacred Shaco. Oh wait, you can't because 85. Never mind. Never
yeah,
mind.
Right.
yeah.
Well, I guess technically.
Well, no, they're always item level 820.
Mhm.
Okay, got it. Perfect.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Always ancestral,
I
always
remember that now.
820.
Yeah,
Is it because when it drops the unique helm that is a Shaco, it will instantly become 820, or does it have to be a ancestral unique?
yeah. Which would explain a lot about how rare it is. Because I
Yeah,
don't have any 820 helms yet. I found some 820. I have an 820 weapon.
I have an 830 offhand.
Oh, did you go farm one of the rares?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna do
a
that for the rogue. I didn't do it.
lucky hit. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna do that for the rogue. I didn't do it
Okay,
because
well,
season 1 got announced. So
that's true. We, I think we've admired the hell out of this. Like we have admired this problem. Well, Nerdwards brought notes. Um,
we didn't even get to half of them.
I know.
He's got spreadsheets out there.
Yeah, that's true.
I actually
Yeah.
do.
There's a
I
Yeah.
actually
detailed
do.
Excel
Oh,
file.
So I made an Excel file that is just a sigil calculator. You type in your character level and what you want to do, and it tells you what level key you need to do and what the best dungeons are for it.
And if you publish
Look at
this,
you.
I mean, it's really basic, like XLOOKUP Excel
Mm.
stuff, but I'd be happy to share it with this group right here. So
Um, okay. Well, like I said, I think we admired the hell out of this problem. And I would hope that we don't have to spend too much time admiring it as season one gets rolling next week. We will probably not record next week. Uh, the season's going to dominate our time, but I will definitely be back
maybe
the
your
week
time.
after.
I'll be in
Yeah,
Florida
sure.
actually. We gotta maybe link up next week. I'll let you. Well, you'll be busy though.
Well, see, that's
It's a
the
big
unfortunate
state.
thing. Yeah. This weekend is the wife's birthday, and then next week is one of the largest movie releases of the year. So yeah, I probably won't.
I'll just come throw something at you while you're at work. That's what I'll do.
Hey, fair. And then you can also get like a free ticket to a double feature of Barbenheimer. So yeah,
Hey, Barbenheimer,
yeah,
I'm down.
yeah.
All right. Well, I wish you guys all a great season one. I'll see you in there eventually, um, because of your shitty schedules. Uh, in the meantime, let's close it out as we always do with a moo, moo, moo.
Moo moo moo.
Moo 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 moo.
Moo moo.